Well, our flight got a little bit delayed coming out of LAX going to Kilauea, but not too bad, only a few minutes off. Some grilled mahi-mahi. Looks almost as pretty as that view from up on top of the hill across. Well, we're getting ready to go do a manta ray snorkeling trip. These are done at night, and so we're going right at sunset to go out, and we'll go out with a boat, and then they have like this surfboard kind of thing that we will snorkel and hold on to, and it has big lights that shine down. And these big lights shining down attract the plankton, and then that's what the mantas feed on. So they've kind of got accustomed to the boats shining the lights and the plankton there, and so hopefully we'll see a few manta rays tonight. I think this was one of the more enjoyable things that I did in Hawaii. Swimming with these giants was amazing. The mantas that we saw were somewhere in the 8 to 10 foot across wingspan, which is average size for the near shore manta rays. The open ocean ones do get much larger, but most of the ones that we saw were, like I say, around 8 to 10 feet across. They did say that there were some in the area that were closer to the 15 foot across size, but we didn't see those. They're amazingly gentle. They don't Um, even though they do come right by you. They don't actually touch you. They just swim by. Um, even whenever they were up close, which occasionally they were just literally inches away from you, but they were just gliding by you. They were only interested in the plankton that the lights were attracting. But super unique experience, well worth the money. There are many different outfits that do manta snorkeling and diving. But yeah, I would highly recommend if you're ever in the Big Island on the west side, definitely look up this as a great opportunity. And you're almost guaranteed to see several, sometimes maybe more than a dozen. Good morning from the Big Island, Hawaii. We finally made it here. Place we're staying at's really nice. Beautiful grounds, full of archaeological sites actually right here amongst the condos. Really spectacular place to stay. But there's a number of house platforms from back in the 1400s from a village that used to be here that are all around the grounds area. It's pretty magnificent, actually, the amount of archaeological ruins that are right here, right in the center of the place. That's another house platform there. Oh, I guess I forgot to tell you the name of the place. This is part of Club Wyndham. This is the Kona Hawaiian Resort. Really nice place, though. I've got two nice pools here. We'll be investigating those a little bit later on in the day. Another thing that's kind of nice is that in and amongst the various different condos here, they do have some grills set up all throughout. Quite nice ones, actually, for your use. The resort's got two swimming pools, and it's right across the road from the ocean, although it's a pretty rocky beach over there, so not much in the way of swimming opportunities at the ocean. Right offhand, there is a little park that you can do some swimming and snorkeling about a quarter of a mile or so up the road. The sun's just about to come up over the mountaintop back behind us. Birds are all chirping and doing their thing. Really pretty nice. We're off on an adventure of fire and ice, heading up to Volcano National Park. Hopefully to see at least a little bit of steam coming up off of the one volcano. It's not erupting real big right now. But then also on Monday night they had snow up on top of the other one. So although today is quite a bit warmer, so the snow may be all melted off by the time we get there. We shall see. But in the meantime, we're just heading down the highway, and I'll turn this back on whenever I find something interesting. Not exactly the most scenic right here, but if you want to look at lava, there's a bunch of lava.
Wireless connection failed.
This area must have had a fairly recent lava flow down toward the ocean.
Well, yeah, you could tell looking that way.
We made our way to Volcanoes National Park, and this was the first overlook that we came to, which is the steam vents area. A lot of steam just coming up out of cracks in the ground in this area, and then you have a long view across the caldera. We hope to see some lava, but this first visit to Hawaii and Volcanoes National Park, all we saw was some smoke and steam, but no active lava. But we did see some eventually there, but not on this particular visit. Came back 3 times trying to see the big fountains of lava, but never saw those. But you'll see a little clip later on of some of it. Ooh, from all this steam, it's like getting a facial treatment. But it's pretty cool, though. Well, no big eruption today, but it's still pretty nice. This is down at the closest viewpoint to the area where the big fountains have been coming up. That's right over here. But today it's just smoke and steam. Hopefully, crossing fingers, they'll have an eruption. We can get back over here in the next couple of days before we leave. Definitely not getting too close to the edge. Well, the rain has set in on us. We didn't make it down to the big arch, but still a pretty interesting coastline here with the waves crashing behind us onto the lava cliffs. This area is a couple miles off from the main volcano. Really like all the little patterns from where the lava solidified. This is Rainbow Falls over by Hilo. And this is Aka Aka Falls, also over by Hilo on the east side of the big island. Well, we didn't make it to the top of the mountain after all, but it's still a nice day, ending with a pretty sunset as we drive back to the Airbnb. Should be home in about an hour or less. And here we are at Honolulu Black Sand Beach. Not a great swimming beach, but still would be a nice place to visit for a picnic. Hey, good morning. I walked down to the local little beach here. That's just about 2 blocks from where we're staying at. It's a nice little place. Just wanted to give you a chance to see this really small kind of white sand beach. Most of the beaches around here are not that big over on the Kona side, so we feel kind of lucky to have this one here this close. This particular beach is better for laying out and getting some sun on rather than swimming. It's a little rocky and definitely rocky right offshore. Might be good for snorkeling, but today I think it's a little rough with the bigger waves coming in. We had a little bit of rain this morning, but it looks like it's going to be a nice day now. After our marathon drive yesterday all around, we decided today was not going to be the day for doing a whole lot of other drives. Unless the volcano erupts again, then I will be trying to get back over there to see that. But today's kind of the day off, so it's just hanging by the ocean here for a little while, and then maybe do the pool there at the condos afterwards. Well, we're catching an early morning flight from the Big Island over to Oahu. I'm going to do the Pearl Harbor tour and do some stuff around Honolulu for the day, then fly back this evening. It's early morning, waiting on the flight to leave here at 6 in the morning. Be back hopefully by about 5 or 6 this evening. Here we are crossing Pearl Harbor, heading over to the USS Arizona Memorial, and then later we took a tour of the USS Missouri battleship. And this is USS Missouri. After seeing Pearl Harbor and where everything started with World War II for the United States, this is where it ended. This was the site of the Japanese surrender. Well, the ship was where it was held. It was actually signed in Tokyo in the harbor there.
Because even though the ship is still here, generations who know how to operate her, many of them are getting older, they're passing away. And they're taking we call the surrender deck because September 2nd, 1945, this is where World War II ends. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what happened that day, and then afterwards there'll be time you can walk around, take pictures, ask questions, and so on. But first, I'll just ask you guys, don't mind stepping in just a little bit. We got to leave room for other groups to walk behind us here. So the day of the Japanese surrender, it's an overcast Sunday morning, and our ship is at anchor in Tokyo Bay, Japan. Sometimes people come here to Hawaii, they see the ship in Pearl Harbor, they think this is where Japan surrendered. But all the events of this day, they happen right off the coast of Tokyo. That morning, we take 11 Japanese men and we invite them on board the ship, and we bring them to stand here in the center of this deck to represent their country at the ceremony. Once those men are in place, the American Admirals Halsey and Nimitz, they come downstairs from the Admiral's quarters and they join this long line of very important men that are standing here waiting for the ceremony to begin. The final thing that happens is that American General Douglas MacArthur comes downstairs. He takes up a position at a mic on the far side of this deck. So General MacArthur, he's supreme commander of all Allied forces at this time. He's the man who's going to be in charge of rebuilding Japan after the war. And that's why that morning he's brought here to come out and be the MC of this ceremony, is because he's going to go right from this to overseeing the occupation of Japan. So MacArthur comes down here, and at 9:02 in the morning, he begins the surrender ceremony by giving a speech. Now before I get into that, take a second to imagine what these Japanese men are expecting MacArthur to talk about. They're standing here and they're expecting him to talk about things like revenge for Pearl Harbor, punishing Japan for the war, payback for everything that's happened. But MacArthur actually sets a very different tone that day. He stands down there and he talks about a time of tolerance, freedom, and peace for both Japan and the United States. And that makes a really big impression on these men. Writing about it later, they say that's the moment we realize that we work and die on. It's when we heard MacArthur stand down there and talk about peace. So now following his speech, MacArthur invites 2 of the Japanese men to come up and sign their name on the surrender documents. The first man to sign is number 22 in the top hat. That's Japanese Foreign Minister Mr. Shigemitsu. He comes out and signs his name for the Japanese government. The other man that signs is number 24 right there next to him. That's Japanese General Umezu, and he's here to sign his name for the Imperial Army and the Imperial Navy and agree they're officially going to lay down their weapons. They're going to stop fighting the Allies. So now once those 2 men have signed, they walk away from the desk, and MacArthur sits across from them to sign for all Allied forces. And that's the moment that you see here in the picture. It's MacArthur signing his name for all the Allies. Famously, though, this takes him a little longer than you think it might, because MacArthur actually uses 6 different pens to sign his name there. He wants to give them away to people. He wants to give some pens to museums, some to his generals. Famously, he waits to sign the Arthur part of his name with a red pen that he gives to his wife when he gets home. But the first thing that he does is he takes 2 of those pens and he gives them to those men that are standing behind him on either side. On his left-hand side is U.S. Army Lieutenant General Jonathan Wainwright. On his right-hand side is British Army Lieutenant General Sir Arthur Percival. And those 2 men have been Japanese prisoners for about 3 years. They're released right before the ceremony, and MacArthur brings them up behind him because he wants them to represent all prisoners taken during the fighting. Just a bit of a side thing to give you an idea of how bad those conditions are. If you look at these men, you notice they look pretty rough. Because in this picture, they both weigh less than 95 pounds. Yeah, full-grown 6-foot adult men, and they weigh less than 95 pounds here. So now following this moment, all 3 men leave the desk. Admiral Nimitz sits and signs for the United States. And after him go people from every other country that fought against Japan. So in order, the next countries to sign are China, the United Kingdom, the USSR, Russia, and then afterwards all the Allies sign in alphabetical order: Australia, Canada, France, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. And then at just 9:25 in the morning, the ceremony is over.
In downtown Honolulu, but this is the former Royal Palace that was being built whenever the kingship of the Hawaiian Islands was surrendered and the Americans took over eventually. But this was supposed to be the next Royal Palace. Today it's the Supreme Court of Hawaii, and that's a statue of King Kamehameha I. And over across the street is the actual former Royal Palace. And you may remember the TV show Hawaii Five-0. It was set in this building. It's right next door to the Royal Palace and the Supreme Court. Well, it was a good day in Honolulu and Pearl Harbor, but I'm ready to go back to the Airbnb, take these shoes off, and relax for a little while. We've still got, let's see, about an hour and a half left before our flight departs. Fortunately, it's only like a 30 or 40 minute flight. So next time you see me, I'll probably be back at the Airbnb or off on an adventure somewhere tomorrow. It's our next to last day here on the Big Island. Not really sure what I'm going to do today. Thus far, all I've done is lay by the pool, which is not a bad thing, to be honest. It's a really nice pool. They have two of them here at the place we're staying at. This is the upper one, which I like better. It's a little quieter, except for the birds. And we're driving up to the summit of Mauna, up to the observatory. I'm glad we rented the four-wheel drive vehicle because it's required to get up here. The road is not terribly steep, but it is terribly rough and bouncy. Obviously, we're going through the clouds right now, but we should pop out above the cloud line and have a beautiful view for sunset here in a little bit over an hour. Above the clouds, and we're coming up to our first of the observatories here, or at least our first view of them anyway. It was an amazing sunset up here. Got a long drive back, so I guess I better get started. And I gotta decide if I'm going to go down to Kilauea or not. But looking forward to the trip to see the lava, fingers crossed, if it's still flowing. Haven't had a chance to check it, but it will in just a few minutes. But first, one final look as the sun slips below the clouds and below the horizon. It is an otherworldly moonscape up here of nothing but brown and gray lava. No plants to be seen anywhere. Cameras that are closer in and are giving a good live stream. So this is what you're watching is the USGS live stream from Kilauea. So yes, another 2 hours out of the way, but I drove back over to the national park and was able to see some of the lava coming down. Although, unfortunately, it wasn't the big fountains, but it's still nice to see the lava. I was there last night. Unfortunately, I missed it because the big eruption started about 8:30 this morning, and today is our day to catch the flight back to the mainland. Just my luck, but life goes on. Well, we're trying to wrap up this trip, getting on the plane here in just a few minutes, hopefully, fingers crossed, and flying back to LA and then on to Atlanta. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. It really helps. Thanks.